Hey, Laker fans, welcome into another edition of the Lakers Report. I appreciate all y'all that have tuned in and that have subscribed, as always, to the channel. And we are so close to 30,000 subscribers. I need your help to get there, though. So before we get into today's video, before you hear everything I have to say about your Los Angeles Lakers, I want you to scroll down and hit that big red button and subscribe. Or just go to this link right here, youtube.com/LakersTV. That takes you straight to the main channel. All you got to do is hit subscribe and get us to 30K. So we're not talking rumors. We're not talking any news coming out of training camp today. No. Today, I'm going to break down 5 lineups you need to watch out for in 2020-2021 if you're a Los Angeles Lakers fan. 5 lineups that I think head coach Frank Vogel could use to shake some things up in case you want to see everybody get their chance at playing some minutes this season. And, of course, we'll start off with the usual, the starting 5. And this is who I project to be in the starting lineup on night 1 and really in the majority of, the most games that they're going to play. I think you go with Dennis Schroder as your starting point guard, KCP in the backcourt with him, and then LeBron. Now, of course, LeBron will play more of that point guard position. He will be more of the floor general, while Dennis and KCP kind of play off the ball a little bit more. And then, your front court is, of course, Anthony Davis and Marc Gasol. Marc Gasol is going to be your starter. I know a lot of people think that Montrezl might start, and we'll talk about him more in just a minute as well. But I do think this will be the starting 5 you see on night 1 from the LA Lakers. And let's talk about Dennis Schroder for a minute, because last year he thrived as a 6th man. In fact, he was the runner-up for 6th man of the year for the Oklahoma City Thunder. But then he came into training camp this year and he goes, I've done this off the bench thing the past 2 years. I'm ready to start right now for the Los Angeles Lakers. And the last time Schroder actually started, he was putting up 19 points per game for the Atlanta Hawks in 67 starts with that team. Now, granted, that was not a very good team. Dennis Schroder was arguably their best offensive weapon, and that's not the case here with the Los Angeles Lakers. But he wants to start, and if you're trying to keep your guys happy and everyone else is fine with coming off the bench, maybe it's time to start Dennis Schroder. Now, something you need to start with is this deal at Fanatics. I wanted to tell you about it early on in the show so that you could know to go to chatsports.com/LakersMask and check it out. Now, the single packs are only $14.99, but for a limited time, I think you might be able to find them pretty cheap coming up around Christmas. So go get yours today. You can get 1, packs of 2, 3, or 4, however many you need, and whatever style you want them in. You can find them at this link at chatsports.com/LakersMask. I tell you about it for a few reasons. Number 1, I want you to get the best deal on the internet. Number 2, you got to wear a mask everywhere you go, so you might as well get one to rep the Lakers. And number 3, when you use that link and you check out Fanatics, it helps us out and it helps our partners out at Fanatics. So go check them out one more time. That link right here, chatsports.com/LakersMask. Now, this is another starting 5 I would not be surprised to see on certain nights from Frank Vogel. This is one that instead of Dennis Schroder, they say, no, you're going to play your 6-man role. You're going to roll with it, and it's going to be okay. So they go with Dennis Schroder. They go with they go with Dennis Schroder off the bench. They put Wesley Matthews into the starting backcourt, and LeBron is your one and only point guard in this lineup. And instead of Marc Gasol, you slide Montrezl Harrell into that starting 5. Now, I don't know how likely this is. I don't know if you'll see it a whole lot, but I do think there are some opportunities to mix and play and mix and match with that starting 5 a little bit more if you go with Montrezl over Marc Gasol on certain nights. But also, Wesley Matthews versus Dennis Schroder is another kind of argument that Laker fans are having, or that really probably Frank Vogel is having on the bench right now as he decides who he wants. So who do you think should start? Type DS for Dennis Schroder, type WM for Wesley Matthews, and let me know which of these 2 guards you'd rather see in the starting 5. I think Schroder has always thrived in that 6-man role, but Wesley Matthews has kind of always been a starter for a long time, but maybe he's ready to take a step back. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Now, let's go back to Montrezl Harrell here for a second, because Montrezl was kind of the guy that I was talking about as, shaking up this starting 5. He only started 2 different times for the Los Angeles Clippers. It was a very rare occasion that he would actually end up starting with them. But when he did, he had 2 pretty solid nights. He put up his season-high 34 points against the Milwaukee Bucks and pulled down 13 rebounds. Also, did some pretty solid playmaking at 5 assists that night and, of course, finished 52% of his shots. And then the other time he started was against the Pelicans back in November as well. He put up 18, 7, and 6. He also blocked 2 shots and shot an efficient 67% from the field. And that's kind of just Montrezl's game. I'm not sure how much it really matters whether or not he starts or comes off the bench, but I think for this Lakers team, it makes more sense to see him come off the bench. Now, let's go into this all six-man lineup, and this is kind of the lineup that this isn't a starting five. This isn't a starting five, but this is more of a lineup that you could go with if you're just trying to bring everybody, all your starters off the floor and put them onto the bench, and you want to take everybody off the bench and into the starting five. So you roll with Dennis Schroder, you roll with Alex Caruso because those are your two main guards off the bench if Dennis isn't starting. Kyle Kuzma will obviously be coming off the bench per usual. And then Markieff Morris and Montrezl Harrell. All five of these guys, if they're coming off your bench for the Los Angeles Lakers, are guys that could be six men on true contending teams. And the Lakers are that true contending team. And they really have 5 6th mans, if that makes sense. And one of those guys could be Kyle Kuzma. And now Kuzma was expected to take that next step forward this year. He was expected to be that third option with the Lakers alongside Anthony Davis and alongside LeBron James. And he was, expecting to get a lucrative deal. He's expecting to get a big extension. But after a down year, he's going to have to prove himself off the bench with this Lakers team and show that, hey, he can get back to basically what he was in his first and second year, averaging about 18 points per game. So with Kuzma coming off the bench and arguably being, your sixth man with Montrezl and maybe with Dennis Schroder, do you think he's going to average more or less than 12.8 points per game? Type M if you think more, type L if you think less, and let me know what you guys think. If it's less, I think the Lakers might be in some trouble with their bench scoring. If it's more, maybe just it's 13 points per game. It's a good step in the right direction for Kyle Kuzma. Let's move into my defensive-minded lineup. Again, these are not all starting lineups. These are also guys that can be, or lineups that you could see used just throughout games, if that's the case. And maybe it's the end of a game. You need one stop. You're going to put in your best defensive players. And your best defensive players are Alex Caruso at the point guard position, Wesley Matthews at the 2, Anthony Davis, who I still argue is the Defensive Player of the Year last year. Marc Gasol, who has won a Defensive Player of the Year award in his career. And then, of course, LeBron James, who, when he wants to be, could be the best perimeter defender in the league. It's just all about how locked in he is on the defensive end. But let's talk about the bald mamba for a second, because Alex Caruso is truly an important piece to this Lakers team, especially off the bench. Because now, let's say, again, for the sake of argument, Schroder and Montrezl are coming off the bench, and Kyle Kuzma. If those are your first three guys off the bench, those are three guys that don't play a lot of defense. Schroder used to be known for his defense. He's not so much anymore. So what do you do with that? You make up for it with a guy who is always known for his defense and his hustle, in Alex Caruso. And I think this guy is just a fan favorite among Laker fans. So who is your favorite Laker besides LeBron or AD? They don't count. You're not allowed to say LeBron. You're not allowed to say Anthony Davis. I'm talking current Lakers this year. Maybe it's already Montrezl or Dennis. Maybe it's Kyle Kuzma. Maybe it's Alex Caruso. Let me know in the comment section who you got. Shout out your favorite Los Angeles Laker now currently on the team. Now let's go into my lineup full of youth. This is kind of the guys. These are the guys that you'll see if the Lakers are winning by 25 plus, which is a very realistic possibility. Or maybe if the Lakers, just take an off night and they decide to rest everybody, you go with all your young guys. You go with the 26-year-old Alex Caruso out of A&M. You go with the 20-year-old Talen Horton-Tucker out of Iowa State, who spent most of the last season in the G League. We'll talk about him more in just a moment. Of course, you got to go with just Kyle Kuzma, who is supposed to be a building block for the future for this Lakers team. And then both your two-way guys, Devontae Cacok and Kostas Antetokounmpo, you give them a chance to get some run on the Lakers system and get a chance to see what they can do. And these are all younger guys that can have big breakout seasons. So who do you think, before I tell you who I think it could be, besides Kyle Kuzma maybe, could have the biggest breakout year for the Los Angeles Lakers? This is a team full of veterans, so it's going to be hard for a young guy to break out. But if there's one guy that I think could break out, I got to go with Talen Horton-Tucker if he comes into camp in shape. That is his biggest deal, because I'm going to be honest with you. He's a little bit pudgy for NBA standards at 234 pounds and only 6'4". If he's in shape and he can come in and make a difference on the defensive end, I think he could have a breakout year. And if he does anything like he did in the G League, it's going to be a solid year for him, because last year when he was really spending all that time with the Lakers G League affiliate team, he was able to put up 18 points per game and 6 rebounds, and also defended well at 1 assist per game. And he has that length and that athleticism to continue to defend at an NBA level. It's just all about what his in shapeness is. I guess his fitness level would be a better word for Talen Horton-Tucker. So let me know in the comment section who you guys think would have a breakout year for the Lakers. And, hey, maybe you think it's Talen Horton-Tucker. But whoever it is, and whatever you think about the Los Angeles Lakers, make sure you subscribe to the channel, youtube.com/LakersTV.